I'm sorry, I was on mute. Hello, 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 everyone. How y'all doing? So good to see you all. Well, um, as you all know, the last talk that I gave, I told you I was going to do a part two of Are You Triggered? Or is your spouse being difficult? Or are you triggered? And just in case you all don't know who I am and what I'm talking about, please feel free to go to the last video that I posted in the Teach Me tribe, where you're seeing this now more than likely. But I am Tiffany Newton. I'm a Master Certified Health and Life Coach, and I help co parents establish and maintain healthy relationships with one another so they can raise emotionally healthy children without the long term communication issues. And they do that by using my first child, or I should say, my child first method. And child is an acronym. So I am, I'm really excited to kind of share with you an update on my last talk. And just as a summary, um, I thought that I was kind of triggered. I'm not going to even say I thought I was triggered. I was triggered by an incident that occurred with my boy's father and I. And it led me to think about, okay, is it something that he's doing, or is it something that I'm just triggered by? Because as you know, as we go through this co parenting journey, things are going to come up, things are going to happen. I mean, that happens in life as a whole. But I want to really take you all on this journey with me, to continue to be on this journey with me. It didn't stop just at my 30-day challenge, but to kind of just give you a sneak peek into what's going on in my life, and how we can work on this together. Because I mean, I'm no expert. I have not stopped growing and evolving. I'm always going to grow and inspire to grow, and I hope you do too. That's why we're together. We're in this journey together. So we're here to support each other and just be there for each other. So uh, as a part two of the last segment, or I should say the conclusion of the last segment that I did mention that I was going to talk to my boy's father, and I did. Actually, I think I might have done maybe just a couple days after you saw the live, and it's so interesting because we were at the same place at the same time. At first, I was going to do it over the phone, but we were at the same place at the same time, and so I wasn't going to talk to him at that very moment, but he said, well, I asked him. I said, hey, can we talk about something? Can we meet to talk about something? And he said, well, we can talk about it right now. So I was like, okay, well, we'll talk about it now. And we were pretty much in a pretty private place. Our boys were off running around. So I kind of expressed to him, my concern in regards to what was going on. And do you know what happened? He expressed a concern. Is that what happens with when we have conflict? We think we have the problem, or we think the person has wronged us, or has caused harm to us, however we want to look at it. But it might be something that we've done that has impacted them in some way. And in my case, that was it. So, and it wasn't necessarily something that he had responded to that I had done, and or vice versa. It was something that had happened in the midst of it all. So I, I kind of course, we talked it out. I apologized for my part in it because I was wrong in that instance. So I did apologize, and we came to a better understanding in regards to how we should handle things moving forward. So, two things that I want to kind of bring out of um, that encounter. Number one, I think I might have mentioned this the first time, but a lot of times we feel like our ex is being difficult, and that's not always the case. So remember, I said we have to step back, we have to evaluate the situation, we have to look and see, okay, what is really happening, what is going on. And number two, we have to we have to really communicate. We have to use effective communication. We have to talk about it. We can't just say, well, that's just how he is, or that's how she is, and I'm just not going to worry about that, because guess what? Guess what happens? It's just going to fester. It's just going to, um, what's the word? It's just going to compile. There's issues that you probably already had, and this current issue is just going to, there's going to be layers on top of layers of issues that you're trying to push aside versus address them. And when you don't address things immediately, it really causes um, some assumptions. It causes some resentment amongst you two, and the children are involved. Remember, you have children together, so they can feel that tension between the two of you. And remember, our focus and our goal is our children, for them to be as emotionally healthy as possible. And no situation is going to be perfect. It's not. I mean, not all situations, not all circumstances are going to end well. But I have to tell you, when both of you are striving to be healthy, when both of you are putting your children first, it can't help but to work out, because both of you have your children in mind, because they're the most important things in it. So, so the first thing was, reevaluating and stepping back. The second one was, or is, addressing the issue right away, talking about it. And I would say, even when you do take that time to step back and think, don't let no more than a few days go by. I would say 3 days max, because that should give you and that person, just in case you did have some type of um, disagreement or issue, some type of tension that might have happened during that time. That should give you and that person or that parent enough time to kind of cool down and reevaluate. Because in this instance, we weren't emotional in so many ways, but um, we were pretty aggressive as it relates to our point. What it was that we were feeling, how we felt we were wronged. But one thing I can say, as soon as I apologized, there was an opportunity for him to say, okay, I can kind of calm down now, because I kind of felt emotions kind of get high. But, uh, but apologizing, that goes a long way. So I would say the third thing for you to focus on is how you apologize, or how you address, if it is an apology that you're given. I kind of wanted to touch on that, and how is the best way to go about doing that. Number one, definitely choosing the right time and place. Even though um, I asked him, "Hey, can we set up a time to talk about this?" At that time, he felt it urgent enough for us to talk about whatever it was at that time, and I had space, to be able to do that. And the atmosphere was okay for us to have that private conversation away from the kids, because we don't need the children involved in this manner. So, because it is sensitive matters that need to be dealt with between co-parents. So the children, they don't need to be involved. So if you do have, that space where you can talk about it at that moment, when you tell the co-parent, "Hey, I need to have something I need to talk to you about." If um, if you can talk about it at that time, feel free to talk about it at that time. But if not, if that's not the best place and time, that's when you have to set your boundaries in place. And that's when the other co-parent has to respect those boundaries. And you have to say, I apologize, but this is not the best time for us to talk about this. Can we please schedule a time for us to talk about this? So, and it's completely up to them at that time if they will choose to reschedule or respect your boundary at that moment. And as I told you before, each of our co-parenting situations are different. The way I say something might not be the way you would say something, because I know my boy's father. So it's a certain way that I talk to him that I probably won't talk to, someone else. But that's the joy of relationships. That's the joy of knowing the person that you are in partnership with. You know how to talk to them. You know when to talk to them because you are in a relationship with this person. So you've learned something about them. The second thing that I will mention in regards to, when it gets to the point where you have to apologize for um, for your part in being difficult. So, and you know what? This could be an instance where it was just like me, where even though I felt like I was wronged, I also wronged him. And me wanting the best for our kids, whether he apologized or not, it didn't matter. I knew I did something wrong, or I was perceived to have, even though my intentions were good, it was perceived that I did something that was out of line. So I took the high road and apologized. I know everybody don't like to do that. They don't like to take the high road. But remember, this is our children. I mean, it's our children. It's not, it wasn't about him at all. It wasn't about him. It was about our kids and having the best possible environment for them in order to work with their dad. So, one other thing that we really have to do when we are in that position to where we have to apologize for something is that we have to use I statements. We have to say, um, you know, I made a mistake. I, I this was not my intention. You know, um, and it shows that you are actually taking ownership of your own actions. Um, Remember, co-parenting, in a healthy relationship, it takes maturity. It takes us being grown, because you will definitely be doing things goes against how you feel in the moment, but in the end, it's best for your kids. Because who wants to take ownership for their actions? We don't. We don't always want to take ownership, especially when we have unresolved issues with the person that we're talking to. But in the end, it's always better, and it just sets a good precedence in our relationship with the other co-parent. Um, and the last thing I want to mention is just avoiding defensiveness. It is hard to not be defensive, especially when we're talking. I mean, we don't even have to be talking about our children in the instance, but when we feel like someone has wronged us, or um, or just like I said before, we have unresolved issues. You know, we can get defensive, especially if they say something that is out of the way, something that might actually trigger us. You know, so it's important for us to, you know, just refrain from making excuses, for blaming, for justifying our actions. You know, instead we just have to we just have to focus on the apology itself, and we have to focus on our child. I tell you, I don't know how much that helps me, just dealing with um, my boy's father. The more I concentrate on my boys and the future that I want them to have with me and with him, his family, my family, you know, it all intertwines. So we always have to have that conscious um, awareness as relates to that. So I hope that that something that I've said today has helped you. Um, Feel free to comment. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But feel free to comment, give me your responses, and let me know what you think. You know, did I was I wrong for apologizing? I know you don't know all the details, but let me know your thoughts. I kind of want to know. But I guess until then, I will talk to you next time. Bye.